Welcome, everybody, to Blood and Mud, a Dragons of Newport podcast from here on in.
Steady on.
Come on, you got to get behind another team at some point, Josh. You know, who's it going to be?
I mean, I was thinking last week or the week before, whenever it was, I was thinking that, like, if there is any team that I'm going to develop any affinity for post demise, I just don't think it's going to happen now. The demise isn't going to happen. Like, there's no way they're going through with all this shit. But it would be the Dragons, because they've got enough, they're impossible to dislike because all of their players are effectively our players. Whatever other Welsh team you support, it's a proper
the Dragons' success is the Ospreys' success. You heard it here
first. It's just like, oh yeah, I remember him. I wonder what happened to him. Oh yeah, I forgot about him. Yeah, that guy.
I mean, more on that later, I guess, because we'll be covered.
Maybe fucking hell. We've got time. You think we're gonna have time to talk about the Challenge Cup this week? Bloody hell, fair play.
We can't. There's a lot. I mean, we were saying before we came on, in what order are we going to talk about everything that happened at the weekend? And I don't even mean like much. Trump painted himself as Jesus on the internet. Actually the rugby that happened. So
yeah,
it's going to be a strange thing. But we'll do our best to try and cover it.
Genuinely being the Antichrist thing. Yeah.
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 My son was in Newport at the weekend as well.
Commiserations.
He went to watch Flint Town United play Carnarvon Town in the Welsh Cup final. So two North Wales teams had to troop all the way to Newport for a final. Now, obviously, when two Northern teams have to do that in the FA Cup to Wembley, everyone's like, what a lovely day out. My son and his mates and all North Wales people did nothing but fucking moan about it. Why can't they just move it to Wrexham? I mean, seriously, this has been planned ahead for about 2 years. You can't just...
I mean, in their defence, it is easier to get to London from Manchester than it is to get to...
It's very true. It's very true. But no, the Flint Town lost. Flint Town United. There used to be two teams in Flint Town and Flint United. They came together and they were Flint Town United. Hence the strange title. But that was a short meeting, or maybe it was a very long meeting. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Or maybe that was after 5 hours, like an Iranian US.
We're not getting, lads. We're not getting anywhere till we just go with Flint Town United.
Yes.
Nobody's happy with it, but maybe that's the best way forward.
But him and his mates are not daft. They got an Airbnb in central Cardiff Saturday night and went out in Cardiff. I said, are you not going out in Newport? No.
I haven't been out in Newport for a very long time, but I don't imagine it's improved. I don't imagine it's changed dramatically, but various Newport following listeners of the podcast might be prepared to correct me, but
they very well be. So how was you, other than trying to, find time in between watching 38 rugby games, which is what the schedule has demanded of us this weekend? Did you get up to much?
Yeah, it's quite a busy one actually. So I turned up watching a fair bit of this on catch up and other sides, but yes, on I think I just mentioned on the pod last week that my wife was off to see Blue at the motor.
Yes, you did.
Cardiff
yes,
this weekend. So I was doing the solo parenting thing on Saturday and Sunday, which I mean, you make out like it's some sort of imposition, but in reality, at 7 o'clock you get to put him to bed, and then you get to order a takeaway on your own and watch Dune. It's
part 1 or part 2? Or the original, or the 1980s one with Sting?
Definitely not the 1980s one with Sting. I watched part 1, and then I started. I got sort of half an hour into part 2, and then I was just like, I probably should go to bed now. Actually, it's been 3.5 hours. I've only ever watched them on a plane before. See, and I mean, obviously, that is, the environment in which. That film is meant to be enjoyed. I mean, so I'm getting very distracted by.
We seem to have bots in the comments.
Yes, yeah. Weird
keep deleting them as they come up.
anime bots are appearing in our comments, which I genuinely think just means we've made it. Like,
Yes.
you know that you are a big fucking deal when you've got weird anime bots appearing in your comment section. Anyway, yes. So yeah, I went to see my old man on Saturday afternoon. Met him at Kevin Malby Farm Park just outside of Cardiff, and yeah, that was seeing my old man. And then on Sunday, me and Noah did very, very little because I couldn't be bothered, and I had emptied my cup energy-wise.
I am a man of constant maintenance, as you know.
Yes.
And so I'm now into to be fair, it's not just me who's been doing it, me and Natalie, and now into the 6th month of the doing my house shutters project.
Okay, yes.
When did I can't remember when listeners will remember when we had the windows done, which
it felt like a while ago.
It was sometime last summer. And while they were there, I said, "Hey, listen, mate, because we've got these Louvre French shutters that open outwards thusly." And I said, "While you're up there, can you take them down? There's like 3 pairs of them, so 6 in total, obviously. And because they've been painted about 13 times, the original shutters from like 1920 or something. And so anyway, so we've been stripping them with the old heat gun, but they're Louvre doors, so you can imagine the pain in the arse that has been.
Yeah.
And they're 5 foot high. So we're doing that. And so short version is, and also then we had to take all the old hinges off, and the screws were rusted to buggery. That was a whole thing. I had to do a load of shit with loads of them. They've come out. One of them was so buggered, I've had to actually cut a piece out the wood and regraft a piece in because it was so buggered when the screws came out. The holes for the screws were too big. I've had to put glue dowels in, then shave the dowels down so I can put new screws in. It's been a whole thing. So they've been stripped, they've been primed. I'm halfway through the first coat of the actual color they're going to be. I've got, because I don't know about you, Joshua, my brain can easily calculate, right, each shutter takes me about 40 minutes to do one side, half an hour. So I'm already thinking, right, I've got at least another 5 hours of painting to do and waiting in between. And then the new hinges have got to go on. And then at the end of all that, I've got to get up a fucking ladder 20 odd feet off the ground and screw them to my house. So
that is the real sting in the tail there, isn't it?
The real sting in the tail as well is that, you think, it's okay, Lee, because the old holes will be there, won't they? What are you moaning about? You just screw them straight to the old holes. No. The new windows are a deeper fit. So I'm going to have to, they're covering the old holes. So there's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. So that was it.
I mean, it's...
So yeah, that's been happening. And I've still got a broken car.
Oh, there are a variety of reasons why that is a pain in the arse then.
It's still on the drive, and it's like, because it's like got a big chunk missing out of it, it's like it's staring at me through its like dismembered features, like David's mutilated dead friend in American Werewolf in London in the cinema. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like telling me, look at what you've done. Look at what you've done to me. This has to stop. Yeah. Yeah. So that's my weekend. That's my weekend.
I mean, fair play.
Yeah. To be fair, though, all of what I did doesn't sound as bad as looking after a young child. So I don't looking after. He's your son. I know that.
He's a son.
It's the job, but
it's a laugh. I will admit, by sort of Sunday evening, I was just really bored of just telling him to stop doing stuff. You know it. Like it's just like it's 2 straight days of just asking him to not do things. And
I contemplate,
yeah, it just really does just sort of. It's like, I've gone to just do what you want. Don't care. Fuck it. Just stick your hand in the plug. Don't care. Do what you want.
I almost I got because you have these notions of writing something at times, don't you? And I've never got the discipline to do it properly. But when the kids were young, you're like, oh, I'll draw. Maybe it was podcast time back then, and I'd done something, and I came up with a title: Carrot, Stick, and Shouting. was the working title. Because as a parent, sometimes it's carrots, sometimes it's stick. It's mostly shouting, is what I found. Of telling them to back it.
It's like you tell yourself that you are going. I think I do try to be a sort of not a gentle parent, but not a sort of overbearing parent.
Yes.
I try to negotiate as much as possible and explain why things happen, but then just increasingly it's just shouting, because I don't need to explain this. You know the situation now. You know what you're doing is wrong.
It's shouting short sentences with words of one syllable.
Yes.
No, stop that now, sort of thing.
The number of times I genuinely, I must have said it 1 million times in the last 4 years. No.
And then you get to the point. He's too young a bit now, but you get to the point when they're about 6. When I did that, I started doing that. It's probably a toxic dad thing. I don't know, but I thought it was like about regulation, really, because then they'd fall over and I start crying. I go, no, that's not a crying fall. Up you get. Do you know what I mean? In a kind of, I know that yes, you'd rather that didn't happen, but basically, it's this is not a cry one. That's it. Yeah, you're a bit pissed off.
I have to be careful not to dad-splain these things sometimes. Of like when he just like because especially when it's just you've just gone, don't do that, and then he does it, and then he hurts himself. Like, I mean, it will not shock people who listen to this podcast to know that I am something of a, I will point out when I enjoy reminding people that I was right, and that also implies. And so I just go, well, look, if you hadn't,
that applies to your 4-year-old.
I'm giving you a cuddle, but at the same time, why do you think this hurts? It's because you climbed up there when I told you not to, isn't it? And that is not. It's not great patter with a 4-year-old. If I'm honest, it doesn't really go in. But I just can't help myself being a fucking I just can't help it. I just can't help it.
Even though he's 4, he's probably thinking tosser.
Yeah. Can't fucking help himself. But being this, hindsight is 2020, indeed. But yes, so
we live, we learn. Yeah.
Anasel said, "This is how I talk to my cat as well." Yeah, there is at least a sort of there's a light at the end of the tunnel, but eventually my sort of being a smart ass about these things will actually bear fruit. There will come a time where he's able to understand, whereas with a cat, it's just for life. The go on, the sort of ats go on forever and ever and ever. Maybe they go on forever and ever with kids. I don't know. You've got 2 old kids. Are you still going
I mean, I when I start talking about parenting, right, I end up sounding like the most boomerish person in the entire world, right? Because I genuinely believe, and it's been my genuine experience, that if you go at it hard and you go at it consistently till they're about 8, you're sorted. It doesn't mean it's perfect afterwards, but there's an element of they just kind of know not to be pricks. Yeah. And then maybe people know my kids might tell me something different, but you know what I mean? There's a really exhausting 8 years where you've got to follow through on everything and be like really, really down on everything. And then it's like, you can start to release it a little bit now because they kind of know. You can just look at them after that or just kind of give it,
Yeah, that is kind of my natural instinct. It's just like, you've got to go out, you've got to guess that in classic sort of Paul O'Connell style, you've got to go out there and get stuck into these cunts early doors.
Exactly.
You've got to show them who you are. And then, once that job's done, then you can worry about the other stuff. But go out there.
You end up denying yourself that, for example, you might say to them, if you do that again, whether about because like you said, we're going to McDonald's for tea, right? Because I can't be asked cooking and I want to go as well. And then if you do that again, we're not going out for tea. And then they do, and you're like, I've got to cook something now. And you have to but you've got to follow through with it. You can't go, oh, well, all right, well, maybe we'll forget about it this time. That's the kind of shit you have to do. And I do become like a total boomer because I'm a bit there's loads of parents who are just not willing to do the hard yards on this shit. And they want an easier life. Then they make the life harder. Then they moan about it. And I'm like, sorry, no, you can't moan. You can't spend the first 8 years making your life easy and then kick off and they've got no respect for you when they're 12. I literally
Yes.
am the most old and be olderly. I'm the oldest bastard parent you'll ever hear. Yeah. But yeah, so that's the only advice I would give anybody, really.
Yeah. Get stuck into them early, effectively.
Basically, yeah. Show me you are early. Yeah.
Did you put the fear of God into anyone? No, that was a bad Paul O'Connell impression. I don't even know it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, though, there you go. Parenting.
Indeed.
If you want to get in touch with me about parenting, to ask for more of my boomerish gems about how to bring up kids, because obviously I've done nothing wrong with my kids, clearly. And they definitely would have exactly the same version of events that I have if you asked them, I'm sure. But I'm Lee, and you can get in touch with me at Blood and Mud on the Blue Sky, leebloodandmud.com on the email. And what about you, Josh? Where do people find you?
Yeah, at Josh Gardner or any safeguarding concerns.
Yes. We done contacts. We're on Spoke Social Network. We're on Apple, wherever you get your podcasts from. We're also on patreon.com/Blood and Mud, where you can come along and get extra things. Josh, it's a big week. For the first time in a while, we've had a VIP sign up.
Hello there.
And not any VIP sign up, but a year one. Somebody slapped down the cash and said, I fancy it. I've heard what you've got to say, gentlemen, and I want a year of this. Thank you very much.
Yes, I want to strap myself in for a full 365 of this bad boy. And I mean, I could ask you well, but I'll just say thank you instead.
So I'd like to shout a huge thank you, and he's going to get a player bio as well, to Pat Gaughan.
Hello,
spelled Gaughan. So I'm assuming that's Gaughan or Gohan. If you're Irish, it could be Gorgon, but I don't think so. But I'm going to say Pat Gaughan. Okay.
I was going to say it would be absolutely in the sort of fine traditions of this podcast to mispronounce somebody's surname when we're doing a player spotted with them. So,
So Pat, I'm sorry if that's what it is, but that's so. Anyway, Pat. So here's Pat's bio. Connacht back rower Pat was part of the extended squad that won the URC that time under Pat Lam. He only played half a game that season, but Pat Lam took an enormous shine to Pat G solely due to them having the same first name. As a result of this, Pat G is now on the coaching setup at Bristol, and he's a coach entirely without portfolio whose only job is there as a kind of call and response for Pat Lam. Sort of like, imagine like a James Brown, Bobby Bird dynamic, Josh, but in a kind of rugby coaching, So get up, get on up. But kind of instead, for example, it'd be things like Pat Lam will say, I like the ball moved away from ruck at speed, preferably with no shape if possible. Isn't that right, Pat? And Pat goes, that is right, Pat.
You're damn
for
right.
example.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't have any.
Like a hype man, like a sort of MC's hype man. I dig it.
Yeah. I don't have any time for a tactical kicking strategy. What do I not have time for, Pat? A tactical kicking strategy, Pat. Basically. Imagine that in every scenario. Pat loves it. The players hate it. Steve Lansdowne pays Pat 350 grand a year to do this role. Is basically where we're at now.
I mean, ultimately, he's sort of Salacious Crumb, isn't he?
I don't know who that is. I can't place who that is.
Yeah. Jabba's little mate.
Yes, effectively. Yes.
Yes.
I never knew that's what he was called.
One of the many incredibly deep. That's not that. I mean, that's probably only like a.
Hang on. So Salacious Crumb, is he the guy? Is he the guy with the thing that the kind of long?
No, that's Bib Fortuna.
That's Bib Fortuna. Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Yes.
Salacious Crumb, the laughing thing.
Yeah. The weird little fucking rat guy.
Yeah. Indeed.
Yeah. Indeed. That's only like a 3 out of 10 depth of the sort of undeniably pointless deep Star Wars lore that I have in brain.
I realized I knew Bib Fortuna was. I realized I never knew what that laughing thing was called. Yeah.
And why would you?
Yeah.
Yeah. I once read a series of Star Wars short stories where one of the short stories was about Salacious Crumb.
What, a kind of origin story?
Yeah, because Star Wars cannot give anybody, like, cannot allow anybody who's been on screen for even a picosecond to not have a deeply sort of ingrained, expanded universe fucking origin story. Now I can't remember what it was, but like, yeah, it wasn't a great sort of 10 pages of my. It's a 10 pages of my life I wish I could get back. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, so anyway, Pat, thank you for that, and I hope you enjoyed your bio as much as it's possible to do so. And let us know if you are in fact an Irish person, but you might not be. So if you want to be like Pat and join up, you can go to patreon.com/blood and mud and come along and whack some money down. As you know, £2 a month, £20 for the year, or like Pat, he's paid for the full year at 50 quid for the full year, and he gets the bio and he gets all and a bit more recognition. And thank you very much for that.
Reach. Yeah.
Shall we begin as we always begin, Josh, with a player spotted?
Oh God, yeah, I hope so.
Tiernan gets in touch on the Patreon messaging service, and he gets in touch with this. Hope all is well, he says. A fresh player spotted in the leafy suburbs of Dublin.
Here we go.
I was hit by a double mundane spotting of both ACL rupturing connoisseur RJ Sneyman and Dan Sheehan, says Tiernan.
A doubler.
Stayman is, I am pleased to say, looking well despite his serious injury, says Tiernan. While Sheehan looks sensational as always. Does he look sensational as always? Does Dan? I never thought Dan is a sensational looking person, but maybe I've not looked closely enough.
Yeah, I mean he's a
I guess
a generically handsome Dublin rugby lad,
Yeah, I suppose, yeah.
Yeah.
Both, Tiernan says, though, in a sharp right turn, both, however, dress like total wankers. But he gives no detail. He gives no detail of what leads him to this conclusion.
Define wank. Yeah, you're gonna have to. There's a broad spectrum of dressing like a wanker here, mate. You got to provide a little bit of context here.
Yeah.
Are we talking brogues? Are we talking
espadrilles?
Are we talking pure hipster?
Then trainers that look a bit like bally shoes that are apparently in now.
Or even worse, those trainers what look like football boots that are also in right now. I can believe that Dan Sheehan's a bit of a fucking fashion casualty. Just by trying a bit too hard. I can't believe our Sneyman is that. Maybe he just dresses like maybe he's all cotton traders. I can sort of picture that,
with a mohawk just to completely throw everything off.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah. He finishes with, though, he says, but also just a few minutes earlier, a lot happening in this, I tell you. I had quite a moment of recognition as this is genuine starstruck stuff. Lena Headey of Game of Thrones fame.
Oh, wow.
Walked past with a small child. Tiernan says, honestly, the thanks but don't say fucking anything to me stare that she gave me was scarier than anything Sneyman could have said or done.
I mean, she is a woman that has a death stare in her locker, I would wager.
Not just from Game of Thrones. She played the gang boss in Judge Dredd as well, of course.
She did. She was in 300 as Scary Queen. She was also in The Bill. Do you remember Lena Headey in The Bill?
I do not.
I think she was in late period The Bill. But which is weirdly where I always remember her as. Was it The Bill? Or was it Soldier?
I don't know. I didn't see it. I don't remember it either. I watched both of those for a period. I used to watch The Bill quite a lot.
Yeah, maybe she wasn't in The Bill. Maybe she was in Soldier. Either way, I will. When she started being in films for a very long time, I was like, "Oh, it's her off some fucking ITV
TV
thing.
show." Yes.
Yeah, some ITV thing that I see. Yes, she was in Soldier for only for 3 episodes though. God, she must have yeah. Not, yeah.
I used to
Anyway,
watch a lot of it, Bill. I used to watch a lot of soaps as well. And then I was scanning the channels last night, and I noticed that Emmerdale was on like Sunday night. I was like, Sunday night, Emmerdale? I'm well out of the loop now. It's
yeah, Sunday nights for Heartbeat and London's Burning
and other things that are trying
Soldier.
Things that try and quell your Sunday doom.
Yeah.
Heartwarming things.
Cadfile. Monica the Glen.
Doctor, what's his name? Martin Clunes is some kind of doctor.
Yes. Was that one? Was Monica the Glen the one with Robert Carlyle in it?
No, that was Hamish Macbeth.
Hamish fucking Beth. That's it. There it is. Yes.
Never watched an episode, but I do know that's what that was. Wasn't he a copper in that as well?
Yes, he was. But he was like a boat copper, or he was a
bopper, if you will. But
yes.
Ballykiss Angel, as Anna Sells points out. Classic Sunday viewer.
Jesus Christ on a bike.
Was Dervla Kirwan in that? Wasn't that how she made her name? Dervla Kirwan.
I can believe it. Yeah.
My granddad used to love Heartbeat, mainly because he loved Greengrass.
Yes.
The Greengrass character. Yes. Bill Maynard from The Gaffer. Remember that one from the 80s?
It was a weird time, the 90s. For Sunday evening television in the 90s should be studied for what it said about us as a species, because it was Heartbeat, London's Burning, Soldier, Hamish Macbeth, fucking Last of the Summer Wine. Millions and millions of people watched these programs. Nick Berry got a fucking, pop career out of this. Not a very long one, admittedly, but it's bizarre. Why did I, as an 8-year-old, used to watch the fucking Bill? There's nothing else on. What else are you going to watch at 8 o'clock on a Tuesday night,
But yes, it's Sunday viewing. Bizarre
indeed.
Because Nick Berry was in Heartbeat, and then he left, and somebody else took it. There was like a headless chicken thing, wasn't there? He took over. They swapped heads on the copper guy, and it just became somebody else.
Yes.
I can't remember who it was though, but I do remember it changed midway through.
Yeah, I can tell you now. It was Nick Berry, and then it was who was the other guy? Give us the other guy.
I think he's probably somebody who's famous now, but I can't think who it is.
Yes. Wow. Okay, so there were 5 main stars.
Okay. Bloody hell.
There was a guy called Jason Durr, who was the guy who replaced Nick Berry on seasons 7 to 12. There was a guy called James Carlton as Steve Crane, series 12 to 13. That didn't go well for him. And then Jonathan Kerrigan from 14 to 16. And then Joe McFadden as in series 7. Do you know Heartbeat was still going until 2010? Heartbeat existed when Twitter existed. That's weird. That shouldn't happen. That's like Rosa Parks being able to watch Shrek. It doesn't.
Yes. It doesn't. None of this make sense. Yeah. It's
no, indeed.
No. Anyway, yeah. So there you go. How do we get on to Lena Headey started all that? Because Cena looking fuming around Dublin. So
indeed.
Thank you very much for that, Tiernan, and that little nostalgic trip that we took there, just remembering things that were on Sunday night.
Yeah. Do you remember?
Yeah. Do you remember?
Do you remember Due South? Fuck me, that was weird.
That's back on Amazon Prime. I got suggested to watch that.
Oh man, yeah. I wonder how that has held up as a concept.
The Canadian Mountie guy coming and working in New York or whatever.
Yes.
It was, or St.
Yes,
Louis,
indeed. Yeah, with a wolf.
Oh no, it wasn't Due South. I'm getting me compasses mixed up. It was Northern Exposure that's appeared on Amazon Prime.
Same diff. Yeah.
About the wasn't it a New York Jewish doctor that went up to live in Canada or something?
Yes. Equally light-hearted, sort of aren't Canadians weird American TV show. But the other way, as you say, the other way around.
Dennis Suter said Nick Berry had a traditional crap pop career after EastEnders. Yeah, Every Loser Wins, of course, #1 in 1987. There's an episode I was watching on the rerun Top of the Pops on BBC 4 or whatever it is, the BBC every now and again. You know, they have like they just run the whole series, don't they? There was an episode from 1987 which featured that as the number one, which was dreadful. Another one that was on there was the woman who sang the song that they put to the tune of the theme from Howard's Way, which was like a droning ballad as well. There was another really long ballad on it. It was like, this was pop music in 1987, was just these droning ballads based on TV shows. Absolutely terrible stuff.
Yeah.
Pop music from 1985 to about 1990, apart from the Pet Shop Boys, was fucking awful.
Yes, and you really do get a sense of that watching like the Top of the Pops 2 reruns things on BBC Three or whatever. Like, it's just like, oh my god, this is what, like, this is like, no wonder people were doing a fuckload of cocaine in the 80s. Like, that was the only way to make the music bearable.
Bands like Living in a Box and It Bites. Remember Calling All the Heroes by It Bites? You're probably too young. You've probably heard it said.
I'm too young to remember it, but I am aware of it.
Stop caking and fucking Waterman, says Dennis. Yeah, but at least there was some high energy pop about that. I can forgive that.
Yeah.
A lot of it was fucking just so bad. Anyway, sorry. This is not a music podcast as much as we would like it to be. Thank you for that, Tiernan. That sparked off all kinds of conversations. If you've got a play spotted, you can send it to lee@bloodandmud.com or on my DMs on the Blue Sky, or you can... what else can you do? You can, if you're a Patreon like Tiernan, you can send it to the Patreon messaging service. A big shout out to the person. I'm sorry, I've forgotten to write back to you. Yes, I do want to hear about the scrape that you were describing with a certain Scottish fullback. I will follow that up with a message, but please do send the details in. Because, you know, I don't think we can libel him now. I don't think it's possible, is it?
He's rendered himself unlibelable. You don't have a reputation to fucking defend it.
Imagine that. Imagine being that though on your headstone, rendered unlibelable in life. Yes.
If you do not have a reputation that is defensible, then you have to go pretty low down the bar. But he's probably pretty fucking close, to be honest. Yeah, we'll see. I guess we'll find out when we see if he sees.
We'll run that past you, Josh, for your media law eye, given that you know about these things. And,
I do have a sensitivity to that sort of stuff, to say the least.
Shall we do some news?
Yeah, not a lot of news this week.
There's not a lot of news, but I suppose I made you keep your powder dry all the way through the news last week before we got to the week in WRU. Is there anything to talk about the unkillable EGM?
I mean, the unkillable EGM is going on as we speak, so who knows what is afoot.
Maybe they're talking about Sunday evening television from the 90s.
Maybe, yeah.
Because there's nothing else to talk about, is there?
Yeah. So. Richard Collier-Keywood's just started doing the fucking Due South theme tune on karaoke. And
Richard Collier-Key was no doubt saying something ridiculous like, I hated Gladiators the first time round or something. That's another reason why he should be booted out. Yeah.
Preach. It's been a very quiet week on that front, which I think it's been very quiet because, you know, things are going on. There are rumblings of things going on behind the scenes. So we'll see. No news is good news, I think, as far as it was interesting that leader of Swansea Council was still kind of like, you should still vote to get rid of Richard Collier-Keywood, by the way, even though he's going in July anyway.
Just to really let the door slap him on the arse on the way out.
Yeah. Don't let him go out on his own terms. And they were very keen to point out that all of the legal actions are still in progress. Nothing has stopped just because he's happening. But no, other than that, it has been a suspiciously quiet day. Week rather for Welsh rugby. I can't, you know, I can't say that I mind. I don't mind it, you know.
The no doubt the behind the scenes work is like setting fire to all the papers and
yeah.
There's that brilliant story, isn't there, about
the industrial shredder in, haven't they?
What year was it when it happened that many times. You got to remember which year it was when the Red Sox were like bang on for winning the World Series in Game 5, whatever it was, against the Mets. Was it in the 80s? And they were 4 ahead or something with the last out for the Mets, and they'd literally set the whole locker room up and sent Bob Costas in there and everything with champagne and everything ready. And then the Mets on the last out managed to get 4-5 runs, won the game, and then they lost it. And he said, "You've never seen like a celebratory locker room dismantled so quickly in your life." Feels a little bit like that in WRU Towers is going on now in terms of
all the commemorative 3 is the number celebratory t-shirt currently being boxed up and sent off to various bits of the world, like losing team Super Bowl merch. It'll turn up on some lad in Eritrea will end up wearing a fucking Atlanta Falcons Super Bowl champions t-shirt, which is a thing that happens. They take all the t-shirts that they got printed out for the players, because obviously they have to have them for both teams. The t-shirts and the hats generally end up they don't just get donated to charity, because there's obviously a risk that they would end up somewhere where they would be seen. So they make a good point of sending them to like places where there isn't a need, but it's usually somewhere in South America or somewhere in the middle of Africa where they hope that nobody will spot them. But then occasionally they will somebody wearing a team winning a Super Bowl that never happened hat will appear on TV, and it's very funny.
The thing is, that's good commerce, isn't it? Because you want to be able to sell quickly and you haven't got time to print them up. And everyone goes, that's sensible. And then some people get some free shit afterwards. And of course, when the RFU do it, it's seen as the most arrogant and disgusting thing that anyone's ever contemplated ever doing ever.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's funny, isn't it? These things. Look, quick plug while we're talking about WRU. This very day, Squidge has put a video out entitled "So How Did Wales Ruin Their Own Team?" or something like that. It's an hour long. And so it's bound to be incredibly detailed and incredibly good. I've not watched it yet because it came out about 2 hours ago. But if you've not seen it already, I advise you to go and have a look at it, because even that, without seeing it, I know it's going to be blinding. So
I'm almost certainly going to watch that after this podcast and depress myself. So
brilliant. Right. Fun. Any other news, Josh? Lots of injuries out there.
Yes, a lot of news. A lot of injury news, rather. So Moena Talling and Mo Hunt are both out of the Six Nations and beyond. Uncapped Ealing Lock, Hayley Head, and 3-cap Saracens back. Sydney Gregson have come in instead. Elsewhere, big blow for France. Joanna Grisez has done her ACL and will be out for the foreseeable. And Owen Elliott-Daly's out for the season as well, but that's sort of just like the end of. I mean, it's a big loss for Saracens, but their season's
and England.
And England, to be
fair. And England, he's come in and completely solidified England. Mind you, Furbank is playing ridiculously good at the minute. So
yes, there cannot be a world in
40-year-old Elliott-Daly.
Indeed.
Sam Costello injured as well for the rest of the season.
Yes, indeed.
Poor fella. That was about it I saw for news, really. Not much else to say. Oh, Vader's just missed the point that Emma Raw looked pretty buggered after that knock she took. Yeah, she did, didn't she?
Yeah, I haven't seen anything about that yet. But
yeah. I've just noticed Dennis Suter mentioned the Squidge video as well. I think probably before I started talking about it. Sorry, Dennis. I generally hadn't seen that. I wasn't stealing your idea, but yeah, you're right. Any more news, Josh?
Ospreys have signed Tom Rogers, which is
yes,
nice.
That's not a team that's going out of business, is it? Signing international superstars.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, it's a good. He obviously wants to play fullback and doesn't get to play fullback at the Scarlets because they prefer a tiny New Zealand man instead. But it probably means that Jack Walsh is off to France, which is a real shame. But he's a bloody good replacement, to be honest.
I haven't got anything else. Is that it for news?
Very little. A lot of players have signed. Faf de Klerk signed for the Cheetahs, which is weird, given that he apparently had offers in the Prem. But
maybe he wants to go home. He's got enough. He's got enough money.
He's made so much money in Japan, man. He doesn't need to worry about this shit anymore.
Yeah.
He's gone to the 2-year deal at the Cheetahs, which to play a bit of Curry Cup rugby and not worry about anything. Fair play.
Okay, so we will go on and talk about this gargantuan weekend.
I was going to say there's so much stuff to talk about this week. It's mad that we wasted half an hour talking about Heartbeat.
It's mad and yet entirely predictable. But yeah. So that's the weekend. That's no, that we're about to start talking about the weekend, which means obviously if you're not a lovely patron like Pat Lamb's hype man, Pat Gorn, then you don't get to listen to all this. We'll see you all on the other side.
Bye.
Ta-da. I'm trying to type something with my keypad and my number lock's off, Josh. It's very frustrating. I've just sorted it now. It took me at least 3 times to work out what was going on there.
Bad times.
Like again, more boomerism from me, not being able to figure out what's happening with technology. Paddy came on last week and I was driving Netflix and I had a split second and I didn't realize that I was moving the thing across the top of the screen rather than across the bit I wanted to move it across. It took me about 2 seconds to work out what was happening. And Paddy just giggled his arse off for half an hour at my boomerism. And I was like, I have literally never done that before in my life. And I had to do it while my 23-year-old son was there. And he said that's what made it even funnier, the fact that I'd done it in front of him when he knows for the fact I don't normally do it. But anyway, there you go. Where do we want to start the weekend then, Josh? Where do you want to start the 9,000 games that started to on this weekend?
Yeah. I mean, we
can't
probably
cover them all.
No, we'll try our best to get through it all. Shall we start with the Six Nations, I guess?
Let's do that.
Yeah. France versus Italy was a game that occurred.
Yeah, I have to confess I did not see it, so there was just too much for me to do this. Have I told you about my shutters? I haven't got time to watch France versus Italy.
Well, it was you didn't really need to watch it to kind of see where it was mad that it was 5-0 to France at half time, but it kind of wasn't when you watched it back because it was like, oh yeah, like we talked last week about France being like the new era was going to take a bit of getting going, and I don't know, it was just they were just so they were really stupid. France were quite a lot, like six penalties on attack mainly in the first half, like was just like you're completely on top in this game and you just keep just flying off your feet or getting isolated or doing silly things. And yeah, I don't know, it's just there'll be a bit, if you're going to be stupid, at least they were very like they kept giving Italy really easy entries into their 22, and then Italy just didn't have any line out to speak of. And then even when they did get the ball, France were extremely good on defense, and that I think is probably the only thing that you could really take away from this game from a France perspective was like, they made 150 odd tackles in the game. They won the game by 33 points and only conceded 7. Like they were fucking up for it defensively. They were very organized. They were very physical. There was a lot of like, you can see the vision for that new coaching team where it's like, if we just make this lot fundamentally organized, and it's very similar to what Galtier tried to do with the men's team. It's like, if we can impose a structure here on defense and at the set piece, in the kicking game, let the mad shit happen around that, and you'll have a very good rugby team. And I think that's kind of what they're doing with the women's team as well. You let your Bourdon Sansus or your Vernier do the mad shit, the bullshit. It's clearly going to take some time, but
I think that's the interesting thing about the tournament.
He's starting with the basic stuff here, which makes sense.
It's an interesting thing about the tournament, isn't it? That it feels like a very transitional tournament all over the place, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. Like pretty much every. When I was sort of going through my notes and thinking about it, I was just like, everybody, like pretty much everybody, you can say there is something, like with the exception of maybe Ireland.
Yes, they were more consolidating, aren't they? Than
but everybody else has kind of got some kind of new thing. Italy have picked a very young new squad. Wales have picked a very young, quite different squad. England have obviously kind of had to transition quite a lot, and Scotland have got a new coaching team. So it's kind of And from an Italy perspective, it's kind
as
of
well.
like,
Yeah.
from an Italy perspective, you look at them and he's just like, it's hard to see. Like, we've talked a lot about how the uneven nature of the women's games at test level still means that, like, how long can you hang in a game is kind of very instructive a lot of the time between the haves and the have-nots. And Italy had 30 minutes of good rugby in them, and then they were fucking dreadful. And it wasn't, France weren't that good in this game, but they just scored, after that 30-minute mark, like the halfbacks. And to be fair to that, like Bitonci and Madia, the young half, they're very young, and they played very well for 30 minutes, and then they absolutely shat the bed. And I get it. Like, they're young and new. This Italy team is young and new. There are valid reasons for all this, but it doesn't sort of shake. Italy feel just as far away now as they did 12 months ago. And I guess if you've ripped it all up and started again and you're just where you were a year ago, that's not the worst thing. But it is also hard to see kind of much in the way of progress from this Italian team, for sure.
England versus Ireland. A couple of things. I mean, Ireland have consistently reduced how much they're losing by for 3 years now, which is one measure of success, I guess. This was at Twickenham. The England is still, from what I watched game, not everything you said about some injuries, new people, etc. Look a bit rusty. Look a bit like they're still trying to find out what they're doing. But then just generally speaking, just still so much stronger, and you can't help feeling that it's hard. You don't want to keep dwelling on what could have been because what do they say? Counterfactuals are no good for like understanding things in some ways. But when you think that Ireland have managed to do this for the past 3 years, and England have just had consistent investment pretty much for at least 10 years, really, haven't they? And when you think about what happened to Ireland in the last 5 years before they just got a modicum of getting their act together. I'm not giving them that much credit, by the way, but it's a modicum of getting their act together. I don't mean the players. I mean the actual, support for what they're trying to do. It just makes you wonder, doesn't it, what could have been possible? That's the frustrating thing.
Sure.
But that's not the players. That's the players' fault on the field, of course. And I thought they just weren't strong enough.
I do think. Surprising. Yeah, I do think that Ireland were. I was surprised at how sloppy Ireland were, to be honest, because I do think that was like some of the worst that England have played for a while.
Yeah,
and it was like, remember, I know it was at home, but like, we all knew how good Ireland were at the World Cup last year. Like, and now some of Ireland's best players are tearing it up in the PWR. Those that aren't are playing in two completely dominant teams in the Celtic Rugby Comp. All of which is to say, like, England can make a good team look bad on their day. Like, that is not Ireland will not be the. However, like, I just think of like 12 months ago, and I know it was in Ireland, but like the examination that Ireland gave England in the first half of this fixture a year ago, where England basically were fucking fighting for their lives for 40 minutes and they could not get out of their own half. They could not get anything because Ireland were just unbelievably physical, unbelievably organized. There was just too much, like, and like you say, they are reducing, they lost by a hell of a lot more at Twickenham 2 years ago, and you've got to look at that as progress in some way. But at the same time, it was like, this did not look like the Ireland team that played the World Cup. Like, certainly the one that was in the Six Nations, like, the one that beat the Black Ferns, that did not look like that team. And, Aoife Wafer was pretty anonymous. Eve Higgins and Aoife Dalton were like, they were unplayable at times last season, and they just looked like they kind of were quite disconnected. They just looked rusty, and they looked kind of like, it was just a weird that I can't think of any Irish player that really kind of enhanced their reputation in this game. Maybe Brittany Hogan, she played pretty well, but like it does just. But is it like an England? Is it, you know, we saw what England did to fucking Canada in the World Cup final. Like England are very capable of making you look like a bad day at the office.
I think they were both rusty teams, to be honest. And the trouble
It
is
would.
the trouble for Ireland, for any other team really, when they're playing England, is that England. And when I say stronger, I don't mean the kind of. It's that thing. I'm not talking about the kind of overall instead of just a stronger squad or whatever. I mean, literally.
Yeah, they can bench press more. Yeah.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? That actually, when they run with the ball, they just make more of a hole in you. Do you know what I mean? It's that kind of.
Yeah.
And I think there's so then when you're both playing quite rustily, and it's at Twickenham, and England they've just got a bit more of that. That ends up being more than enough. But having said all that, you know, let's be honest, we all just want England to get. I know we all want England to get worse. Yeah, we do actually. And we all want everybody else to get better. Because the trouble is, I don't think everybody else can get better. If England kept getting better, nobody's ever going to catch them. England need to have a bit of a downward dip on the graph for everyone else to get somewhere near and to make some of this.
Yeah, it's abundantly clear at this point that parity will not come from everyone else catching up with England at this point because the lead is it's just too much. And, you know, there will obviously be like saying that, like, oh, you know, yeah, like very few other teams will ever have the resource that England will have. You know, that's true in the men's game, that's true in the women's game, both in terms of player numbers, both in terms of finances, both in terms of audience, all of that sort of stuff. There is a finite amount of like stuff that of teams that are capable of catching England at this point, and it's France basically, and
yeah,
that's it. Maybe Ireland if Ireland pull their fucking fingers out, but even then, I don't think they have the player base to kind of. You know, we are about to find out how deep England's talent pool is in a lot of ways, which is quite, you know. We spent so much time talking about in the last couple of years, you know, the best two teams in the world are England's first and second 15. And that was true.
We're about to find out, yeah.
Well, you know, second row, you know, they're down they were down their 3 first choice second rows anyway. They've now lost Talling for at least the tournament. And, you know, the squad basically has Lily Ice-Campion left in terms of like a second row that would have got anywhere near a match day 23 6 months ago. And it's like, it could be good. You know, she's only fucking 22. It's not like she's some kind of like grizzled veteran campaigner. And the fact that Mitchell has called in somebody with, you know, no caps shows that he is just kind of going, well, I guess now is as good a time as any to find out if, you know, players like, you know, Latui, who's, you know, 19 and played very well when she came on, I thought, and is playing out of position. Like, is someone like Demelza Short from Bristol going to get a go? You know, Abby Burton's probably going to move. You know, she's tall enough that you would imagine that he's looking at her and going, you can play second row for a bit, actually. You know, and equally on the scrum half side, you know, how important has fucking Mo Hunt been for England over the last World Cup cycle? And I thought, you know, Lucy Packer played well at 9, but like losing Hunt's experience is huge. And you're looking at like, you know, Flo Robinson is you know, going to get minutes off the bench now, 100%. Or, you know, it's all very like it's Mitchell basically going like, well, fuck it. What, like, why not? Let's see how deep this talent pool goes and see how many minutes we can get into some of these like 18, 19, 20-year-old kids and see if we can build up a squad that can defend the World Cup properly in 4 years' time. It's interesting.
The interesting fact in this game, an interesting point in this game, I was Lucy Packer at one point took a quick tap from a penalty and dropped it forward. And the ref just let her take it again. And I was really thinking, I was looking at it thinking, have I misunderstood a rule here? Something changed and I've forgotten about it. Something. Oh no,
No.
what did they say that the Ireland weren't back 10 or something, so it was all right to take it again? Or it was so bizarre. It was like, no, she's chosen to take it and she dropped it. And then you're allowed, and then and of course they scored off the kicked it a
Well,
touch next time and
yeah.
scored off the line out. It was very, very strange. And
Dare
nobody
we
said a
like
word about it either. It was
Derry
really
Lake would like
weird.
a fucking word, by the way. You know, like, you know, that, and it does just show, you know, when you are the dominant team in a dominant game, the referees just bend to your will a bit. And yeah, but that was, in terms of like, sort of like egregious, like examples of a dominant kind of home team getting the rub of the green, that was pretty bad.
So I
That
mean, you know, I'm not saying it made a difference to the game. It was just really, really
well, it
odd.
absolutely didn't, but it was really weird that so the TMO or somebody didn't get, you know, the level of fucking TMO fucking grassing that we get in this game at the moment. And the TMO didn't just go, by the way, that is not a fucking,
That's
you shouldn't
play
let
on
me
scrum down Ireland. Yeah.
that's scrum down Ireland, surely.
Yeah.
But yeah, go figure. I'm glad that happened then and not in a game that had some sort of fucking peril about it, you know? Like, hopefully that doesn't happen again for a long time. Like, if you're going to get it out of the game where it's going to, the result is kind of decided anyway. But it was fucking weird.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was that. And then Wales played Scotland.
Yeah. Well, I think if you are Sione Fukafuka, you're very fortunate to have Helen Nelson at this point. Because, like, that pack is, Rachel Malcolm aside, that Scottish pack is subpar at this point. And they had quite, like, Wales gave them quite a rough time of it in this, you know, both in the loose and in the set piece. And like pretty much any other day, without Helen Nelson, Scotland lose that game quite handily, I think. But unlike Wales, you know, Nelson is a properly top draw international outside half who has vision and awareness and tactical sense. And, you know, she created one try from a very clever kick. Like, she kicked all of her goals except one, I think. She's very solid under the high ball. She was the best player on the park by a distance. And the second one was probably Meryl Smith. But having those two playmakers is a huge component of why Scotland kind of punch above where they are. Because if you look at them, you know, that back three is as good as anybody on the planet. The rest of the team is not very good, candidly, with the exception of Rachel Malcolm. But they've got Nelson and they've got Meryl Smith, and they are huge.
They had a lot of debutants playing as well, didn't they? That's the other thing. I mean,
this
is two teams who are very much in transition, isn't it? This team, this game, and who's coming out of it better, I guess. It helps if you transition him, like you said, with some world class operators in pivotal positions.
I think that's the thing, and it's the thing that kind of showed up on the Wales side. Like, Sean Lynn looks like he'd sorted out roughly 50% of what needs sorting out on evidence of this Scotland
There was still some real basic shit going wrong, wasn't there?
Yeah, like, they should have won that game. The fact that they didn't is because you cannot simply magic up anything approaching a test level backline out of the witheringly shit stuff he's got available, you know?
Yeah.
And
then your line out keeps going wrong.
Yeah, and you can't make Kira Bevan and Clicky George suddenly know how to execute the kicking game properly. But, you know, defensively, I thought they were very, very good, with the exception of the fact that their back three are, you know, wonky under the high ball, but they're wonky in all ways. The set piece was not brilliant, especially the line out kind of went to pot a little bit, but physically and fitness wise, you know, they looked fresh and dynamic and physical after 87 minutes. And if they'd had literally any backs of acceptable standard, they would have won that game.
They dropped the ball a lot as well, didn't they? Which is a killer for a coach, isn't it? Because what you're supposed to do is keep dropping the fucking ball.
Exactly.
You know, nobody's coached to do that, are they? You know.
No, exactly. And you do wonder if you were him, would you look at that backline and just go, "You are not fucking up to this level. I would be better off, plucking some lasses from the Celtic competition and giving them the next 3 games to see if you can put a backline together that can actually do something." Because they're not going to beat fucking Ireland, France, or England. That is obvious. That was obvious before the tournament. That remains obvious now. They should be, Sean Lincoln should kind of almost be better off kind of pressing the fuck it button in the way that John Mitchell has kind of had his hand forced to, and just go, let's see if the kids can have a go. Because you're not going to, if you kind of, rotate out some of the usual rotate some of the usual suspects back in from the squad in the backs, whether it's fucking Jazz Joyce or whoever, or Hannah Dallowell, I should say. Like, I just don't, how are you going to get anything better than what you've got there? I just, yeah. I feel like I'm bored talking about it because I feel like I've been talking about it for 4 years, but Wales's backline is not acceptable. And I don't know, just continuing to do this stuff just feels like a waste of everybody's time. But here we are.
Yeah. Yeah, but it was a frustrating game to watch more than anything I found. But with some real flat, I mean, Scott's try was absolutely lovely.
Yes.
For example. But some flashes of really nice stuff. Just a very frustrating game on it. But again, I think that was true. I didn't see, as I've already said, I didn't see the Italy game, but it was true of all the games, really. It did a combination of it felt like a bit of rustiness and this transitional issue or injuries just seemed to lead to a little bit of underwhelm for me, really. Which is not saying they were terrible games or anything, and I'm not trying to be down on it too much, but they were just
it definitely felt like going to be a transitional.
There was a ramshackle nature to them. It felt to me.
Yeah. Whereas last year, for obvious reasons, felt like a lot of teams kind of fine tuning themselves to be ready for the World Cup. This sort of feels like
it is the year after the World Cup issue, isn't it? You always have
and it's always going to be a thing, but it is kind of quite unusual, I think, for like all of the teams to feel so in transition in a lot of ways, and I think it's definitely. Yeah, it felt it on the opening weekend. And as you say, it's not a sort of overt criticism. The games were still kind of compelling in their own way, but it felt like a definite kind of... It felt like a drop-off from what we enjoyed last year, I'm
not going to do any previews, just to remind everybody. Scotland play England in Edinburgh. This Saturday, Wales play France in Cardiff, and Ireland welcome Italy to Dublin. So that's that, but it's good to have. It was, there was plenty of rugby to watch, wasn't there? You had to make some choices on Saturday. Really, that was the problem more than anything. In between, I had my iPad set up while I was busily priming and painting shutters in the garage because I have put a mesh Wi-Fi hub in the garage, so I have got Wi-Fi in the garage, of course. This is not fucking amateur hour. Do you know what I mean? This is not amateur hour. Yeah. Onwards back to the meat and two veg competitions with the European stuff. I can't believe I just said that, but I did. It just came out. I do apologize, everybody. But save me, Josh, because I need a minute. Where do you want to start?
I mean, and again, I don't wish to sort of, compare apples. Let's stop talking about food stuff. Yeah, I don't wish to sort of compare things, but there was a real sort of contrast in the slightly underwhelming kickoff to the Six Nations versus the crescendoing of the Champions Cup on the other side of things, because it's hard to imagine that things are going to get better than this weekend, to be honest. Because they were,
and it needed to be, because it makes you forget the group stages. That's the crucial thing.
It does, yes. And this is the sort of it is an increasingly ineffective magic. Like it's its power is waning with each year, but every year getting to the last 8 is usually what flicks a switch with the Champions Cup, and
True.
you just go. I mean, Bath Northampton.
Oh,
You will not get many games of rugby more entertaining than that. Like,
I got slightly
yeah,
upset at the fact that it didn't go full super high, ridiculous farce bullshit. You know, they calmed down a little bit and just decided
yeah.
to
The
create
second half,
some genuine drama instead, which
yeah,
is,
yeah, yeah,
of course, fantastic. But also, I
yeah.
felt a little bit cheated. Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
the
an incredible game.
obviously the
Yeah,
defending was bad. Some of the refereeing decisions were bad.
some of
Um,
Northampton's
and
attacking though, man. Honestly,
I mean, it
I
hadn't
mean, how many
like there was.
times do they just slap the ball on because they trust that it's going to
It's
work?
it's
It's great,
so
you know.
that's the thing. If it were just slapping the ball on, it wouldn't work so much. But it is like there were elements of like an Ealing farce in the first half.
It was
It was
ridiculous.
far too easy for everyone. The fucking Ollie Slatham try was just like, like I can understand Tom Dunn doing a tap and go and kind of getting a very easy route to the try line
Yes.
without really having to try. I cannot make peace with a winger doing like
No.
getting the ball 5 meters out in a bit of space and just basically trucking his way over the line. That is unacceptable.
Giving it the full Nelson Muntz on the football field. It's just ridiculous. Yeah.
I mean, but as a neutral on a Friday night under the
Oh,
floodlights, like I could have watched a series of that thing. I could have watched a box set of this game, and we're getting it. Like the best point is we're almost certainly guaranteed another 2 goes at this in 2026 because like the rematch in the Prem is in 12 days' time at Franklin's Gardens, which fucking set your calendars for that. And then it's very hard to imagine a set of circumstances where both of these teams are not rejoining that rivalry at Twickenham at the end of May. Let's be real. Is this? I think this is the best like rivalry in English rugby since like Saracens Exeter at the turn of the decade. Like
and miles more fun to watch.
They're fun. Like these are clubs. Northampton won the league 2 years ago, upsetting Bath in the final. Bath obviously won the league last year. One of them is going to win the league this year. Saints made it to a Champions Cup final in their off year. Bath might very well make it to a. I mean, they're not going to make it to Champions Cup. They're not going to make it to the final, but they're going to make it to a semi-final.
Because they already have.
Yeah, we've already had. Yeah, true. We've had Saints win fucking 41-21 at the Rec in the Prem in January. Bath coming from 3 scores down to knock Saints out of the Champions Cup in incredibly controversial fashion on Friday. Bath are sitting 1 point behind Saints in the table currently. The rugby they play is radically different. Like the way that Bath approach being fun and the way that Northampton approach being fun are like completely different languages, and yet they are both fun. And it's epic. I fucking like I get me a full series order of Bath v Northampton because it's absolutely fucking box office. It really is. I loved it.
But so much fun to be had. All ends up basically. Finn Russell's double dribble.
Oh, loved it. Yeah. Henry Pollock always being the story is remarkable. Look, last week, Pollock was shit, right? And he only really impacted the game by being a magnet for French hatred, which was impressive in its own way. I mean, this week
he caused an emotional implosion in his opposition.
Yeah,
basically.
This week that was not the case at all.
No.
He was brilliant in all the ways that he was last season at this stage. He was a fucking nuisance at the breakdown. He was dynamic. He was explosive. He was a massive cunt, obviously. But as is always, like, I am like, it's remarkable that somehow he is always the fulcrum of the narrative. And like,
And not even because people are trying to crowbar it into him either. Sometimes you get frustrated with this because you're like, no, this isn't really about him now. No, you want to make him a superstar.
And
like the Marcus Smith thing.
Always
you know,
is.
he's been fine tonight. Leave him. Whereas actually, yeah, he genuinely is, like you said, the fulcrum of the kind of narrative of everything.
Like, that's the thing. Like, I think that we on this, we try our best to kind of like not get pulled along on the sort of narrative that they try to feed us all the time, and yet you just cannot resist it. You are utterly powerless to resist. Like he was the thing upon, a very harsh yellow card was the thing on this that this whole game turned on, and it was.
Carreras was sealing the fuck off that ball.
Oh,
I got a lot of sympathy for him. Yeah.
But at the same time, you're an open side. If you go over the ball like that in that position, you are gambling there, and he knew that. He took a risk, knowing that, like, if he didn't pay off, he was going to get a yellow card. He knew that was either a turnover and a penalty for him, and he wins the game, or it's a yellow card and they lose the game. And he just took, and I respect the hell out of him at 21 years old or whatever he is, to just go fuck it, like I'm going to be the hero or the villain here, and. He did it, and it didn't pan off, and it didn't pay off for it. I don't see it as the great travesty that a lot of Northampton fans probably do, and a lot of the commentators do, because it's just like, well, yeah, like defensive teams always get pinged quite harshly in that situation every single game when there's a line break, because referees fundamentally don't want them to whatever referees are thinking about them being biased. When somebody does a massive line break, nobody wants to see somebody do an amazing turnover. They want to see a try scored. And it just happens. But he is the narrative. He is the fucking fulcrum of it all. He is the fucking black hole which all discourse ultimately is sucked into. And we're just... Eddie Hearn knows what he's fucking doing, is what
It's amazing, isn't it? He knows something about this stuff.
He has identified somebody around whom a sport can revolve, and he's already weirdly revolving in spite of him a lot of the time. And yeah, fair play.
I've become slightly obsessed in recent weeks with the what I like to describe as the anti-Pollock, which is JJ van der Mescht, the second row for Northampton, because nothing about his appearance makes any sense other than the fact that he's massive. But he's like pot-bellied, slightly bald. Looks like somebody's cosplaying Mike Teague. Yeah. It's just, he's an absolutely incredible character. He's just got a lot of time for him.
Nothing like a modern second row should look like.
No.
And yet, right down to the fact that he wears a jersey that's like 3 sizes too big for him, clearly, because he just doesn't want everybody to see his lack of rig in that regard. And yet, he's fucking excellent. And
he's just great. Proper old school throwback character. It's just really good stuff. Time. Yeah.
But to then trust, like, if he was playing for Sale or Saracens, even, or Exeter, you'd be like, yeah, sure.
Exeter, definitely. Not Saracens, maybe, but yeah, Exeter, absolutely. Yeah.
But like culturally, if he was, or Leicester, even, if he was playing for Leicester, you'd be just like, yeah, sure. That makes all the sense in the world.
He looks like he's like some really weird spin-off series of Quantum Leap, and he's ended up there, basically. Like it's very, very odd. Yeah, it's bizarre. But no, I can't keep my eyes off him. I love it.
Yeah, and he's just, but put him in this sort of like freewheeling ballers all over the place Northampton team is so weird. And yet, it works. And you just have to sort of go, some things don't make sense in the great
until they do. Yes.
Until they do. And he is emphatically one of those guys.
Tell you what, though, credit to Bath, because on half an hour, I thought, this is fucked. This is going to be about 52-12 if this keeps going the way it's going. And credit to Bath for not, one, losing their shit, two, actually growing into the game, because a lot of the reason why I think Northampton went into the shells a bit. To be honest, I think they got a bit of the fear about them in the second half.
It is, yeah.
But like Guy Pepper, for example, just massively grew into the game. You know, he just got stronger and stronger as the game went on, and just things like that. And Russell just never gives in, does he? He's never defeated. That's what that's how you set as a talisman. That's great, isn't it?
He is completely unflappable, and he was unflappable, and he doesn't. He's a guy that barely looks at the scoreboard. You get the sense he's playing exactly the same if he's 40.
The worst intercept you'll ever see. The worst intercept. One of the worst intercept passes you will ever see.
Oh,
everyone could see it coming. It was a terrible idea, and he got punished in exactly the way it should have been punished. And yet, he's never defeated. That's the thing I love most about him, really. So why is it so endlessly watchable for many reasons? That's one of the main reasons.
You said about like Northampton getting the fear. I think that Northampton got the fear because, and I think part of the reason the Bath didn't panic is that they just do this all the time. In that second half, even though they were within the last 20 minutes when that bench came on, even though they were sort of quite heavily down still at that point. It was just like, bro, I've seen this before. I've seen this movie before, and I know at the end. Because, when you can bring on fucking Alfie Barbary and Ted Hill and Thomas Dutoit and Santiago
Alfie Barbary as a number 23 on the bench, by the way. What the fuck's that all about? Yeah.
But, that is the sort of depth that a lot of French clubs would struggle with, and we'll find out how important that'll be against Bordeaux in a few weeks' time. But, against a Prem team, though, you could see, Saints were doing everything in that. They were raging and raging against the Tide in that last 20 minutes. But, when you're fucking bringing on Barbary and Ted Hill and Thomas Dutoit and Tuipulotu as well, and just going, right, they're going to run into you over and over and over and over again. We'll see what's your bench looking like? You got many test caliber players in that to bring off the bench? Don't think you have, have you? No, didn't think so. And even if Pollock had won that turnover and Saints had cleared their lines, I still kind of feel like Bath would have found a way to win that game. It just felt, it just I think it helps having Russell be the fulcrum of it, and he, as you say, he just never panics. His head never drops. He's always kind of looking for an opportunity to do something with it. But also, I just think they know what they're bringing. Particularly against another English club, I think it might have been a different kettle of fish if they'd have been against a French team or something like that. But I think they know that when they come up against an English team and they bring what they bring off the bench, there's just nothing that anybody else can do about it. It's going to happen. It's going to go badly.
But brilliant game and a hell of a way to kick off the weekend.
Absolutely fantastic game. Epic. A memorable, an all-timer, to be honest.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. And then, Leinster sale, who cares? We all knew it was going to happen.
Genuinely, I've got, aside from the fact that Leinster are, finding their rhythm at the worst possible moment, I am, and also, I will say this about Leinster. Yeah, they're in a semi-final. Fair play. Their road to the finals consisted of home ties against the 13th best team in the URC, the 7th best team in the Premiership, and the 11th best team in the top 14 coming up. You can only beat what's in front of you, and fair play. They're doing that while finding some consistency and mojo in attack again. However, we'll see what happens when they get to the final and they got to play Bordeaux. We'll see. We will see.
Speaking we'll come to Bordeaux in a bit. In terms of Glasgow, who saw that coming?
The most inexplicable game of the weekend. Genuinely, not just what we expected pre-game, but it just doesn't make it doesn't make sense. Within watching that game, it didn't make sense that Toulon won it. I mean, it's not true. It does make sense in the sense that they had Nacho Brex and Gael Drayen and Albanos. But the fact that they were in a position for those guys to win the game in the manner that they did, having played so astonishingly badly for so much of it, genuinely, it defies logic. It defies common sense. It defies morality, frankly. It's immoral for the team. Like, this is a team that lost the penalty battle 13-5. This is a team that lost 40% of its own lineouts. Like,
this is the team that's 11th in the top 14.
Yeah,
this
yeah,
is
yeah.
nothing about this game. Yeah.
This is a team that somehow racked up 227 tackles in a game, and that's not usually a good thing. Against a Glasgow team that was perfect 4 from 4 in the pool stages, hadn't lost a game at home in a year, sat atop the URC standings and looked to all the world like a team that was finally ready to put it together and have a proper crack at Europe, and Toulon just went, no. and that was the thing. They did defensively, they just went no. Like, I have not seen, like, we all know what a weapon Glasgow's maul is. Like, Johnny Matthews fucking scoring hat tricks for fun and all that shit. I've never seen a team do as good a job on maul defense as I've seen Toulon do. Like, they just stopped it. They didn't just like stop it in a way that freed up Glasgow's, backline to do bits in. They just shut it down in a way that just made Glasgow go, oh, what we can do now then? And usually when that happens, the question is, well, how do you stop Sione Tuipulotu when he's running onto the fucking ball? And apparently the answer is put Brex opposite him and tell him to go fucking hard at his shins. And it was like, obviously Brex's try to win it was incredible. And really kind of just like reminded you that, like, I know that he's like the less fashionable one of the two in that Italian midfield, but he is still, he is still.
He's an astounding player. Yeah, a really good player.
He's incredibly good, and he's so much older than you think as well. How old would you think Brex is now at this point?
I assume he's about Finn Russell's age.
Maybe you bang on then, because for me, like, he's kind of, I sort of, because Menoncello and him are so kind of synonymous with each other.
Menoncello's still, just out of adolescence, despite being a monster.
Yeah, exactly. Menoncello's like 23. Brex is 10 years older than him. He's 33 years old. And like, it did sort of, when I noticed that on the weekend, I was just like, oh my God, we really have to appreciate the fucking Menoncello Brex centre partnership while we can, because it will not be around for long. Like, they're going to have to, like, in 2 to 3 years, they are going to have to find somebody to play 12 for Italy that isn't Brex, and that makes me very sad.
I won't be surprised if he shelves after the next World Cup, to be honest. It's like a good stepping off point, isn't it?
It does. But like, it was a real, like, Menoncello obviously gets most of the plaudits by being young and the best fucking centre in the world. But like, it was really nice to see Brex just being like, yeah, I am actually that guy, by the way. But yeah, like, you felt for Glasgow. You really did, because they didn't really do anything wrong. Like, they scored tries, they defended well, it was just one of those things where just like fate just decided that it's not your fucking day. Like, it wasn't like, they didn't have the tempo that they usually had. They didn't seem to have the sort of like incisiveness they didn't have. Like, it was.
Yeah. Vader's Jester makes a point here about losing George Horn last week. Yeah, kind of forgot about that, because so much of how they play is linked to his tempo, isn't it? Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, no, I mean the conditions didn't help as well.
No, it wasn't. It was a wild one.
Fucking gale. It wasn't a day for goal kickers, but just to be, it was one of those games that if I was a Glasgow fan, I'd be thinking about that game for a very long time.
It's one of them, isn't it? If you play that game 10 times, Glasgow will probably win it 9 times. Or 8 current form, and then just sometimes this shit happens. I mean, it's not all. It's frustrating for Glasgow to probably heads down and all that, but they're in a good position in the Irk, aren't they? They've got a chance of going again.
They're very likely to still win the league, I think. It's just, it's not about the Glasgow have won the league before. There is a kind of, there's a last dance element to this Glasgow team because we know that, some key bits of that team are not going to be there next season. And likely, Franco Smith isn't going to be there after the World Cup. So it definitely, it's hard to imagine them. Maybe they'll give another crack at it next year, but it's hard to imagine them getting another crack at it next year in a way where they've got they're playing at home for the entirety of the knockout stages as they would have been this year. It's oof.
And then we finished with Bordeaux.
Indeed.
I'm all here for open side Woki. I want that forever. And
honestly, man, I don't know what it is that has. I know he's had some injury issues, but whatever it is that has made Galtier go, I don't really like the look of Woki anymore. He needs to be extremely disabused of that notion because he should be starting at 7 for France, 100%.
Yeah. Given that they need a little bit, I don't know. They could absolutely do with him because he's just class. And then on top of that, you've got a Big Ben being the biggest Ben that ever benned.
Yeah.
On a consistent basis now. We talked about it last week, didn't we? But it's incredible.
It was a fucking fascinating game, man. Because Toulouse, if you line them up man for man, have better players than Bordeaux. But Bordeaux are a better team. And that, I don't think anyone on the Bordeaux side played as well individually as Thomas Ramos or Jack Willis did, for example.
Yes.
But they didn't really have to. Because but I thought it was really interesting that Dupont after this game was basically we have to learn lessons from this. It was kind of classic guy who's lost a quarterfinal stuff, but I think
one of which is I have to learn not to trip people up. Was that one of them? Was that one of the lessons he was taking away from it?
He says he basically said we can't think that this is going to be like the other year where other years where we make up for it by winning the top 14 by default, because we have to he basically says if we don't change things. And we need to have a look at how this entire tournament has gone for us in Europe. And if we don't make changes to ourselves and we don't take this as a warning, then we're not going to win things again. And I thought that was quite a strong thing for him and the captain of France and the sort of Mr. fucking Toulouse to kind of basically be we can't keep doing what we've done in the past anymore. We have to change how we do some stuff, because Bordeaux are a fucking team, man. They're a team that works and functions to make themselves greater than the sum of their parts, and that
the parts aren't bad. Let's be honest, the parts aren't bad.
Very good parts, but I think that's why Toulouse are not an unlikable Leinster/Saracens winning machine, because they are almost never greater than the sum of their parts. Toulouse, occasionally, in 2020, for example, certainly in 2024 in that final, things clicked and they became the sort of I genuinely think that 2024 Toulouse team might be the greatest club side I've ever seen. They were, to beat Leinster in that final when Leinster were on their fucking uppers. I don't think I've seen a team play better than that. And then to do what they did 6 weeks later against Bordeaux in that final was brutal and horrible and horrendous. But most of the time, they're not, and certainly on Sunday, they're just a bunch of incredibly talented individuals getting by on talent more than anything else. And it's kind of because they have a fucking they're basically ideological essentialists. Toulouse, they have this way that the game should be played, and they and like it's a club thing, it's a philosophy thing. It's like a, and it's like, lads, you don't like. It's great when it clicks. It's porno rugby. You know, it is the very highest form of art, and it did click a few times on Saturday. And you know, the Teddy Tomar try being a perfect example of that stuff. But
Yeah,
there's
that was
not really an.
gorgeous. Yeah,
It was absolutely stunning, and it you know it. I, I feel fucking bad saying, you know, Toulouse need to stop being that guy, but they fucking do, because it's not like Bordeaux play bad rugby, man. Like, look at Bordeaux play unbelievably beautiful rugby, but they are also a team that can spend the first 20 minutes of the match defending like fuck on their line and
yeah.
not getting it and not conceding a single point. You know, they are a team that then can turn around and go straight up the other end, kick it to the corner, and drive over properly because they know what they're fucking doing. You know, they're a team that, like, every single one of their players puts in, you know, Jefferson fucking Poirot realizing that, well, if I can't fucking scrummage, then I better chip in with 4 turnovers somehow. You know, Luku and
This,
Jalibert, like, not just doing razzle dazzle, but like pinning, you know, basically
that's,
pinning Toulouse back in their own half for the last 20 minutes. Like, this is a team that understands the fucking assignment and understands that, like, winning knockout rugby is it involves, you know, just doing that. And
can I say that
they should,
Jalab,
you know, they're a special team, man. They should go back to back, but they should be a fucking lesson for Toulouse as well, because there's no
yeah.
real reason for Toulouse not to be like that, but they're not. And they
This is the
haven't been all.
weekend of remarkable. I've literally just thought of this now. Thought reflected on this now. A weekend of truly some brilliantly remarkable kicks.
Yes.
Because you had and I mean every kind of kick. You know, you had Finn Russell's double dribble. You had the cross kick for the Scott try and the Scotland Wales game. You had and then you had that absolutely incredible little dink forward that Jalibert did in the lead up to his even more unbelievable finish for that try.
Yeah.
Where he didn't even run a full step before he reshaped himself to like nudge it forward with the tip of his boot at full pace. It's just the skill level is just unbelievable. And then to follow it up and then everyone just thought, well, that's going out. No, it isn't. I'll just keep one foot in and just unbelievable.
To not step in touch in that situation. And equally, like, they didn't get much chance to show it, but like, because for some reason they did, but like every time like Ntamak got the ball at 10, he just shimmied and dummied and usually made a half break by he just does that thing where he doesn't look like anything's going to happen, and then all of a sudden he's ghosted through the defensive line and it's a line break. And he did that about 3 times in the first half, and it was just like, your head, like, I know his hair's never out of place, but it's like somehow you stepped an entire sort of elite defensive line with a shimmy of your shoulders, a flick of your wrist, and your hair hasn't even got slightly ruffled, and you'd look complete. Like, it really was like, those were as much as I'm sure Glasgow fans would have had some, like, those were the 2 best teams in Europe fucking going at on, like, and the fact that Toulouse are as flawed a team as they are and still probably the 2nd best team in Europe sort of is, you know, I just talked about that, but like, they still are like very few other teams could have, like, you know, that game looked worse on the scoreboard for Toulouse than it felt in, you know, it was only really in the last 10 minutes that Bordeaux managed to pull away, like, despite Toulouse being
and they had
half
2 cards, don't forget, for
exactly half an hour down.
Aldegari thinking he was playing rollerball on a kicker. And
Aldegari, man, like, he's bad at scrummaging, he's bad in the loose, and then he does that. What is the purpose of him being there? Like, a team like Toulouse should not be relying on him.
Or France, indeed.
Well, exactly, yeah. Like, but it's just, yeah, it felt so. But it was a proper fucking. It really did feel like fucking, you know, Godzilla versus Kong, watching them fucking go at it, particularly in the first half. It was just like, oh, goodness me, somebody's whoever wins, we lose. It was very much a sort of, oh god, like somebody's gonna have to win this game at some point, and it was very like, particularly at half time, it was just like, look, who's breaking here? Who's bending here? These are just incredibly massive, incredibly skillful fucking players smashing into each other and giving absolutely no quarter. It was cinema. And it was a compelling and absolutely fucking riveting game in a way that, as much as I adored Northampton versus Bath, like Northampton versus Bath, Bath was a Friday night game.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Bordeaux Toulouse felt like it should be a Saturday night game, if that makes any sense.
Saturday
like,
tea time. Yeah, this is your Saturday tea time kickoff. Yeah.
This is a proper fucking thing here. That is, yeah. It just feels.
So it's what, 3 weeks till the semis now?
Yes.
Fabulous game. We can't probably move off without talking about the Dragons, can we? Winning away in Zebra.
They've done it again.
Speaking of brilliant kicks, by the way, speaking of brilliant kicks, Aneda and Owen's shonky grubber kick for the Dragons opening try might have been my favourite kick of the entire weekend. When he was like, I don't know what to do with this. I'm just going to fucking lamp this with the old swinger and see what I can do with it. Oh, somebody scored. Brilliant. Yeah. It was fantastic. Also, was Elliot D's maul try the crappiest, most brilliant maul you've ever seen in your life? It was an absolute shambles.
Yeah.
An absolute shambles. He caught it and it just seemed, it felt like it broke off about 12 times. And he was literally moving sideways and backwards like it was some kind of dance move. And then he got to the fucking try line. What does he care? But it was everything about it was just, the whole game really was just great. And I've just got a lot of time for him.
Yeah,
bizarre opening yellow card as well, but that's a late tackle my ass.
I thought
it
was really kind of, it said a lot about the Dragons' kind of improvement that they saw out the last sort of 15, 20 minutes of this game by just being incredibly like sensible and solid. Like they could, a lot of Dragon teams in the past would have not really, they would have wilted in that last 20 under the sort of, and like, it's only fucking Zebra, man. But like, it was still away from home. When was the last time the Dragons won 2 fucking away games?
I think as Gav Thomas said, I'm not a friend of the pod, Gav Thomas and Dragons fan, who said, I'm not qualifying this with anything. I'm taking 2 away wins on the bounce versus I think it was 2 in the past 5 years or whatever it was that
exactly
managed to actually do. Yeah.
Whatever happens, in a few weeks' time away in Montpellier, which common sense says you don't imagine it's going to be a good thing.
No,
it doesn't fucking matter, man. Like everything that they've done in the last 2 weeks is a huge
imagine if they managed to win through like Hogg doing something fucking stupid and embarrassing. That'll be just the perfect moment, won't it?
Honestly, man, I would love it.
Can you imagine? Yeah.
Such a Montpellier is such a fundamentally dislikable team. Just
yes.
Yeah. But we'll see.
Yeah.
Either way,
no, congratulations to you all.
Losing a semi-final would make absolutely would not change anything.
Imagine if they won though. Newport would be decanting to Bilbao.
Oh man. It could happen. Like Montpellier are going to have Montpellier are potentially going to have more pressing top 14 matters to the thing. And Montpellier have won the Challenge Cup before, right? They must have.
It feels like they should have done, but I can't remember.
I'll find out now. But presuming that they've won it before, it doesn't really matter. Here we go. Yeah, twice. They won it in 2016 and they won it in 2021. So Yeah, they don't need to win it again. You know, they don't need a
Bilbao,
Challenge Cup wins.
Bilbao's got a Newporty feel to it, and that's not me damning it. What I mean is, it is a post-industrial place. Bilbao, it's an interesting place. I love it.
Yeah.
And it is the entire vibe of the place is, yeah, this is what we're like, and this is who we are. And if you don't like it, you can fuck off. Basically, yes, we are a little bit rough looking. Fuck off if you don't like it, sort of thing. And I kind of feel there'll be a little bit of sort of like a synergy with Newport there.
Yeah.
Anyway, right. Anything else from this long discussion about the weekend you would like to raise?
No.
That can't be coming shit good.
No.
Right.
Jesus. No.
That's the end of the weekend. Let us talk about the let's do shit good to finish. Have you got any shit before I go to the submissions?
Antoine Dupont.
He does have them, doesn't he?
I mean, he's had quite a few of them.
Yeah. I mean, he can't, he has been injured pretty badly, hasn't he? So
this is the thing. Like, he is barely a year out from an ACL recovery, but it's real sad, man, if we have seen the best of Antoine Dupont now and everything that's coming. I mean, injury comes for like everyone in the end, and like he's had 2 reconstructed ACLs now, and he just looks like a guy that is playing. He feels mad saying this about fucking best rugby player who's ever lived, but like he is a guy that feels about 10% off the pace of like top flight rugby at the moment. And like the sort of comparison with a dramatically less talented player in Luku, like who's like speed of thought and sort of his like incisiveness and his understanding of everything is at such a higher level than Dupont at the moment. Like, if it wouldn't be a political nightmare, like Luku should be starting for France, not Dupont on form at the moment.
And it's a funny one, isn't it? Because we said the first 2 before it started wobbling for France in the Six Nations, we were talking quite a lot, weren't we, about is the third act of his career or the final chapter of his career going to be this? I'm actually just one of the best, most competently technical scrum halves you've ever seen, with a few flashes of amazingness. That feels a long time ago now, but that also makes me think that this isn't a terminal issue.
No, I would be very surprised if he doesn't, will they give him the summer off to kind of do a bit more rehab, or will he go with the French team to play the summer?
I mean, they broadly don't give a fuck about the summer, do they? Even with this new tournament that people pretending matters, they're not going to give a fuck. So, yeah.
No, but it will be interesting to see if, because it's quite often the case when you see a player coming back from, a couple of bad ACL injuries, that it does take them about a year to get their shit together again, and it's very rare that a player kind of comes off an ACL injury like that and goes straight back into the fucking swing of things. And so yeah, but it definitely feels like he is a shadow of the player that he was pre-injury at the moment. It's very sad to see, but yeah.
Phil Jones says that shit is whoever was commentating on Premier Sports, the Glasgow versus Toulon on Saturday afternoon, consistently saying the winner would face the winner of Leicester versus Sale, which was being played on Sunday, when it was actually the next game up after that one finished. Yes. Also, shit, he says, is the Blues versus Scarlets game next Saturday is only being streamed, so you'd have to watch it on S4C. They were showing it on Sunday lunchtime.
I was going to say, it seems like a kindness to me, but
he said, however good is the Toulon players dropping F-bombs all over the place in post-match interviews, leaving even Ryan Wilson having to apologise for what was being said. Yes, very, very good. Stumpy Matt says that shit is European kits in non-traditional team colours. Bath, Treviso, Montpellier, all the ones that come to mind. They look much more aesthetically pleasing to me than the traditional kits, yes. But commerce going to commerce, isn't it? Late stage capitalism is even ruining rugby. Dennis Suter says here that shit was O2. When I went to the men's England-Ireland match as an O2 customer, I got a free pasty in the O2 Blue Room and a drink. They were nowhere to be seen for the women's game. Yeah. What else we got here?
Yeah. Shit for me. The EGM's finished.
All right.
And they withdrew all the motions because yeah, fair enough. But then the WRU just came out and said that they're fully committed to the three-team plan and that Richard Golly-Keywood's exit will make no difference, and that they're definitely cutting one of the Scarlets and the Ospreys. So, fuck them.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Apparently, basically, a bunch of people then from the union basically took the floor and said that it was the WRU's lack of plan B was a dereliction of duty that could destroy Welsh club rugby, to which Abby Tierney went, oh, well. Yeah.
Oh, dearie me. That's a bit of a damp squib, isn't it? Anna says,
well,
shit.
It's inevitable. Yeah.
Anna says, shit, I was quite looking forward to Armageddon, to be honest. What's the point of living in London if I'm not the first one to be incinerated? Yeah, good point. But she said, good, obviously, is the Dragons. Their fans deserve some joy. Yes. Any more shit before I move on?
Just let teams play at home in the semi-finals, man. Like, we have very nearly had a profoundly thick situation this weekend, like next round, where Bath would have been hosting Toulouse in Milton Keynes, and Glasgow would have hosted Leinster at Murrayfield. Like, but instead, we've got Leinster playing in Dublin at the Aviva and Bordeaux playing in the football stadium in Bordeaux, which is fine. But neither of those are neutral venues, regardless of what the like. It's a stupid rule that you have to play it in a neutral venue, but that like means if you don't happen to have a convenient football or international rugby stadium in your town, then you have to what?
And they're not neutral anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's nothing neutral about fucking Leinster at the Aviva, man, and there's nothing neutral about Bordeaux playing in that fucking football stadium. Like it's just a nonsense. Just let teams play where they fucking want. Like the sort of the tissue of like silly neutrality for the semi-finals is a complete waste of time.
Okay, have you got any good?
Back row play brackets general. I just can't, like, Pollock immense, Ted Hill immense, Barbary immense, Wokey immense, Jack Willis immense, Rory Darge fucking immense.
Yeah.
Olivon immense. Like Darge in particular did not deserve to lose that game. The way that he basically single-handedly was keeping Glasgow in that game when Toulon were hammering on the door in the last 10 minutes was incredible. Like, it was a cornucopia of quality fucking back row play of all the, like, every different form of back row play. There was enjoyableness to be had over that weekend. It was incredible.
Yeah, Ian Bradshaw gets in touch. Says, good. The Maloney McDonald's being celebrated on primetime television. The constant referencing to it was a little bit grating, he says, but then I remembered I grew up in the age of Section 28 and people losing their shit over a kiss on Brookside. Yeah, it's true, isn't it? No, and it is it's a uniquely lovely story, isn't it? You know, let's be honest.
It is.
So, yeah.
I especially enjoyed how Clee claimed that she like basically sort of hijacked their shared Spotify and played nothing but Irish music on the warm up, which is absolutely fucking top drawer stuff.
Yeah,
like epic.
Vibka Marshak says, good is French rugby honouring the women who played the first international for their country in 1982 before the match on Saturday and making up for them not even sending them out in a proper kit. There was no famous cockerel for them, no. Also good, she said, is this ad AXA put out for the French women's team of 2026? I've not seen that. I will watch it though, Vibka. There's a link in the comments on in the Facebook group, which you get access to if you're a patron. It's underneath the link to the pod this week. There is a link to the ad. So I will have a look at it. I believe you. Stu Clark says, good. Shona Campbell and Lucius Scott continuing the trend of Scottish wingers scoring against Wales off nice kicks to space. Yes, indeed. You got any more good for a plough on, Josh? Or have we covered it?
We haven't spoken much about Leinster, but it's nice to see Hugo Keenan playing well again.
Yes.
Very tidy player.
And the game move on quickly, doesn't it? So if you go back a couple of years, we just talked about he just couldn't do anything wrong, and he was just this wonderfully brilliant technician of a rugby
and he's
player.
Had a horrible couple of years, both through
really
injuries
tough.
and form, and it was, I know he scored the winning try on a Lions tour, but like that was about one of the few good things that he did on the Lions tour. So yeah, he looked back on his he was in his bag on Saturday. It was nice to see.
Jerry Keaveney says, "Good, the world not ending." Yeah. Good, road protests. Something to do with this happening in Ireland. I don't know. Something's happening. Good, Ireland captain Erin King dropping F-bombs on baller performances. Yes.
Quite.
Flynn Haggerty says, good, this is final. Big, chonky Ben Temafuna scoring a try off the bench for UBB and then drawing a penalty for holding on after making a tackle and springing up quickly to contest the ball. It was fat excellence, and I hope he got a reward, like a pint of Ben and Jerry's or something. Yeah.
Oh,
I think we said last week, didn't we? He's just a remarkable rugby player. And like you said, he'd play international rugby if he was 14 stone, because he's just a remarkable rugby player. Yeah.
Yeah. It is remarkable watching him do the things that he does.
And isn't he about 35 now?
Yeah. I think he's 34 or 35. He's fucking ancient. It says he's 5 years older than him, at least.
Yeah, but in professional athlete terms, Josh, to be fair, it's not a wrong thing to say.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, he's 34. 35 in August.
Top man. Have you got any final goods before we draw this to a close?
No.
Well, thank you, Josh, and thank you, everybody, for joining us and listening to us and everything else that you do. Josh is away next week. He's taking his family on holiday, would you believe? Well, he's not taking. That sounds very, paternalistic, doesn't it? It's not, you're all going on holiday.
Yeah, together. I mean, I am taking. Yeah.
And so I will do my best to try and cover the yawning chasm that you're going to leave behind.
I mean, at least you've got, a good weekend of Six Nations rugby ahead of you. Because otherwise you'd have to fill in with just the vinegar strokes of the men's domestic season. And nobody wants to do that. Yeah,
heading for the world's. Yeah, anyway, no, I will stop saying what I was about to say. Right. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Josh. Speak to you all next week, and goodbye. Ta-ra.
Bye.